Good morning, everybody. So we are gearing up. It's almost daylight, and well, it's actually right at daylight, and we're gonna fish Guntersville one more morning. One of the things that I'm trying to do from now on when I travel is not waste opportunities to fish. You know, for the last several years, I've been running and gunning from one location to the next location or back home or whatever. And well, for one, Christy's in Africa on a mission trip right now, so I've got a little more time. But we're gonna leave here and go fish Weiss Lake. But I wanted to get in one more fishing trip. We're only going to fish a couple hours. We're basically going to jump out there, fish that morning bite, jump off, go back, load up everything at the hotel, and then we're going to head over to Weiss Lake. And once we're at Weiss Lake, we're probably going to do a day, maybe a day and a half there, depending on timing and weather. There's a little bit of a frontal system coming in. And then from there, we're going to move up and fish Nickajack, getting ready for the KBF partnership tournament with FLW, the FLW KBF Open. I'll be there through the weekend doing that event, fishing, and then I'm gonna head home after that. And yeah, so that's the deal. We're gearing up and about to head out on the water. There he is. Yeah. Oh man, that guy blew up right at the boat, and you could tell he wanted it because he's got the hook in and doubled back through itself. So he smashed that horny toad. It's really slicked out in here and the wind's not blowing. Let's get this guy back in the water. You know, it's not the fish we're looking for, but one of the things you're doing when you're out fishing is you're also scouting and you're looking at other opportunities and you're looking at things for even future trips. And the one thing that I've noticed is pretty much anywhere the water's kind of dirty with this snotty grass, there's not as many big fish. There's not as many fish. And so you're going to find those occasional resident fish. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go look for clean water because I've pretty much decided that the fish are just not hanging in this this nasty slop. And I'm starting to see some shad flickering along the bank. And then I've even heard the telltale signs of a couple of carp starting to spawn. And that generally makes it difficult to catch fish in shallow water anyway. So we're going to work our way back to another flat, see if we can't find some cleaner water. And it may be that because the wind's been blowing this way for the last 3 days, we have to just try the other bank out. So we're going to mess around with all that, see if we can't find some more fish. But it's good to have one on the board after you missed 3 and spooked about 10. So, but it's great being out here, and I know they're here. I just got to find them. So, you know, one thing that you have to learn if you want to get better is that you can't always just safety up and go where you know where the fish are. You know, we've been catching 20 to 50 fish on deeper road beds and 8 foot of water. It's real easy, and it's real tempting to just keep going back to that same spot. And it's also not smart to bring the lure that you plan on fishing with you. So I don't have any more horny toads with me. I've got 227 or so in the truck, but I do have this cowboy from Yamamoto, and a lot of people don't realize it, but with these lures you can actually just rig it up like so. So anyway, that's it right there. That is the Yamamoto Cowboy, and just rigged it up on a 5/0 extra wide gap hook. I might drop down to a 4/0 to fit it a little better here in a bit, but I'm going to start off with that. I like how it kicks the nose up. It'll make it go through grass nice and easy. And I think when they grab it with that bigger hook, I'll get a better hookup ratio. So just throwing it on straight braid and throwing it on my frog rod, and we should be able to murder one with it. All right, so after missing the second fish on that setup, I did what I knew I should have done in the beginning, but I guess I just didn't want to take the time, and I downsized the hook. When I was using the hook before on both fish that I missed, the bait came back all dorked up, and it was actually impeding the hook set the way that I was rigging it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down to a little bit smaller hook. When I'm fishing this thick grass like this on top, I just use a straight tie to braid. What I'm using here is 60-pound or 65-pound Cortland. It's their new Master Braid series. And so the thing about a direct tie with braid is you need to use a Palomar knot. Any other knot's going to slip for the most part, or at least it's going to slip worse. So you pull that knot down, and then I like to take both ends and just give it a good tightening. Pop that off there with my line cutter. Now with this little bit smaller hook, I'm going to reuse the same plastic and I'm going to come to the other side. But the way you rig this is just come down into the nose, just about to the transition, just like so. When I'm rigging plastics to run on top of vegetation, I rig it to the bottom side so that it doesn't have plastic down below it to catch on the edge. So instead of going up here or down here, I'm kind of coming down a little more to the bottom side. I'll show you what that looks like when it comes out. So that way when that thing comes out like that, I don't have a big bunch of plastic on the bottom to catch on. And now that hook lines up a lot nicer. And just like anything else when you're rigging a soft plastic, if you'll pinch it where the hook set goes through or where the hook lines up, does that make sense? If you guys see that? If you pinch it right where the hook shank should go through, you can use the tip of your thumb as a guide for how to rig it properly. Push it through at a 90. You'll feel it, poke your finger on the other side, and then you lay that over. Just like so, and then if you notice there's no kink in it, the hook lays on there nice and clean, and then all you got to do is put a little skin in it to keep it from catching on the vegetation. And that right there is a lot cleaner setup. That bait doesn't have a kink in it, and it's not going to impede the hook set because it's properly sized. So pick the proper hook for the proper plastic and the proper presentation, and you'll have way more success. And if you know in the back of your head you should do it, don't talk yourself out of taking the time because you're going to end up doing it at some point anyway. And yeah, one of those things I should have just did immediately, but picking the right hook size for the right bait, for the right conditions, and the right presentation is going to catch you more fish. So there it is. Buzzing a plastic on the top. It's actually one of my favorite ways to fish. I think there's one back there calling my name. So I just had a fish blow up on it and miss it, but I thought I'd given it long enough to take it. Apparently I didn't, but I've given it a few minutes, and now I'm gonna throw this cowboy back in there and just kind of slow crawl it across the surface, and then drop it into a couple of the holes. Watching my line that's laying on the pads and on the grass, and then oh, that one hit it. I don't know if he's still there. Ah, he's not there. Dang it. Yeah, I do not advocate peeing in the woods because that squirrel over there, that squirrel over there, that squirrel over there, and that squirrel over there, they don't pee out here. Find another spot or if they're still there. I struck out and it looks like Gene might have found pay dirt, so let's take a look at a couple of his fish and we'll see you guys next week for more kayak bass fishing. All right guys, so I'm gonna do some business real fast. and I'm gonna load up all my stuff, take it down to the truck, get everything ready. We're leaving Guntersville, heading to Lake Weiss, and we're gonna then head to Nickajack for the FLW KBF Open. So I'll be right back with you. How'd you like that moon?
Imprinted.
In your brain?
It's imprinted.
So my room is right there. So I banged on the window and gave Ken a big full moon. He got a whole brainwashing. Brain, it's all the way down, right? To your soul? Yeah. Just got to say, I'm digging this new setup. It really makes life easier for traveling, loading and unloading. When I'm not doing a tournament and all I've got with me is the gear that I need, it's going to be ideal. So the ticket is going to be to get Christy to go along with me. So we'll see how that works out. So this is so we're going to head back here and check out the Tennessee River, kind of up over the, yes sir. Let's see who this is. Yes sir.
Chandler Summers, nice to meet you.
How's it going, man?
Not much. I recognize the truck, man.
All right. Well, would you see me on the road?
Yeah, I seen you coming up the mountain.
Cool. Yeah, I've been here for about 4 days now.
4 days. Y'all catch some fish?
Yeah, we went to the north end. We fished the middle of the lake and everything in between. We finally found them up on the north end and got them ganged up pretty good in some eelgrass and whooped up on them. Didn't catch any monsters. I think the biggest one was probably 6. I lost a couple shallow. The fish shallow, there's so much of that snot grass that comes off of the milfoil when it's dying that it just was tough shallow. So I ended up this morning, I went one way and Gene went the other way. He found them deep and whacked them, and I struggled to find anything in shallow water. But I was in a spot where I know if they were pulling current, which they weren't, then I would murder them. So that's one thing. If you come to Guntersville to fish and you're gonna go fish the shallows, especially once the water temperature is above 70, check the USGS, check the River Flow app, check all these places. If they're not pulling, the shallow is gonna be dead. But if they're pulling, whoo! So I knew it, but I still wanted a square peg round hole because I just wanted to catch one on top water. But yeah, we caught them pretty good out a little deeper, 8 to 12 foot of water.
They're coming off the spawn, I've heard.
So look, man, there's fish in all 3 phases. There's fish that are pre-spawn that we found, there's fish that are on the beds, and then there's fish that are definitely post-spawn, and up shallow I even found a couple of pods of fry. So we had that storm about, what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yes, sir.
And then after the storm left here, it went north, so all that water went up into Ohio, in the Ohio River, right? And then they release and threw back down. By the time it's all said and done, all that cold water comes back down here, and it just kind of made, I think what it did is it disrupted stuff, and then we were off the full moon, and so I think now it's just stacking back up again. But today was the first time I saw shad starting to spawn. They were flickering up under the trees. They weren't really moved up on the banks yet, and carp were up shallow starting to spawn. So that's usually indicative that the whole bass spawn is over, but this weather's got it weird because I saw 3 or 4 bass spawning like in 6 foot of water. That's what was crazy. So yeah, man.
Because earlier in the year we had a really, really high water level, like places you shouldn't be able to drive. You're getting your boats full plane through.
Where are you from?
From Bridgeport, Alabama.
That's that way, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Where do you go to school?
Northeast Alabama Community College, right down the road.
Cool. What are you going to school for?
Mechanical engineering.
Nice. I have an aeronautical engineering degree from Embry-Riddle, but a big component of that is mechanical engineering. Business, you should do marketing. Everything else you should do engineering. I tell people that all the time because with that you can do dang near anything. What do you want to work on?
I want to work at Google.
Okay.
On a Google plant. So.
Sweet. Nice. Well, man, get to school. It's nice meeting you. I'm gonna head out here and we're gonna shoot an overview of this beautiful stretch of the Tennessee River, and then we're heading to Weiss Lake to go try to find some spot.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you, brother.